Welcome to the November edition of Games I Want to Play, a monthly series where I review the releases for the coming month and tell you which ones I think are good or interesting to pick up. Last month, we had a lot of FPS action, getting the Shadowkeep expansion as well as the return of good old RPG style games like Outer Worlds and Trails of Cold Steel. This month, we're looking to get our hands on some long awaited releases and then a bit more after that. So, let's see what we got. The traditional format of online MMOs have been getting mixed and matched a lot lately, many of them deciding to simplify the gameplay to make it more accessible, and therefore net a much broader audience. However, that comes at the cost of having the freedom of doing loads of other cool things that one may find some real value in. Games that have similar themes to this tend to put all their weight on big PvP events or just generally focus on war aspects. Citadel begins with survival. From there, you can shift your focus on being able to build your own castle or settlement, collect artifacts, and have a unique interaction with the game's content as well as other players. In some sense, it does sound like some sort of Minecraft variant, and there's definitely some people out there that might find that intriguing. So, whether you're down to grind out some levels, out to make your own city, or do the good old melee with armies of monsters or other players, Citadel will let you do all of that. That is, of course, if you can manage to survive first. In case anyone missed it, I've been a big fan of Hideo Kojima's work since the first Metal Gear Solid. If I were to pick favorites, I'd have to say Zone of the Enders 2 and Peace Walker. Now, here we have a completely new title from him. We've seen what he's capable of in other genres with that PT demo that is quite possibly a rarity right now. So I'm honestly excited to see what he's up to now that he's been given as much creative freedom as those investing into his work can afford. One of the things that became apparent recently would be the huge variance of how people like or dislike Death Stranding. Honestly speaking, I'm not that surprised about this development. To begin with, Kojima's games haven't been the type to have a vastly broad appeal. This wouldn't be much of an exception. In fact, it's probably more of an outlier case as he doesn't have to compromise his creative vision as much. Given reviews and footage that's been released, it's evident that he's drawn inspiration from other games that give a very different experience to what he's done in the past. Honestly, I'm really stoked to see what kind of game he's decided to show us. Now, being a Switch owner, it's probably time to get back on the traditional hype train of games by Nintendo. A new Pokemon game is here, and I'm ready to jump in. While I'm a little disappointed that some of my old favorites aren't going to make the cut, well, I don't feel it as bad because my boy Lapras got in, and if your favorite didn't make it, well, my heart goes out to you, but that's how it is. But you can look at it another way and see this as an entirely new game where there can be a lot more things to learn and try. For some, this can be a tiring thing because that means leaving most of what you've already learned behind from previous Pokemon games. I can understand this because I've experienced the same thing when going through fighting games, especially recently. But we can also think about this as a completely unique and new adventure that doesn't need to rely on the old tricks that it used to hook us in with. A mostly new set of Pokemon, a new region, and a relatively new console. To me, sounds like a new, fun adventure. Playing as a hunter or a sniper in most games usually means going around with a stick that kills most enemies in one hit and being able to reflexively aim at a moment's notice. Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts appears to have quite a different experience in mind. With mechanics leaning more towards scouting and stealth, it doesn't look like you'll be downing entire bases loaded with soldiers with just one gun. Rather, it appears that you'll be doing a lot of planning that is leading up to the big sniper shot that you may or may not take. The game's trailer suggests that you'll be able to alter the game's story depending on who you decide to take down. On top of that, it also looks like ballistics is going to be a real consideration you're going to want to think about as the game appears to have added those details in. So it looks like if you want to feel like a badass sniper, the usual tricks won't quite hit the mark for this title. So get your drones out, learn what Coriolis effect does, and calibrate your sights. It's gonna be a time for fine sniping. November is going to be a bit of a cooldown period because the previous months have been pretty heavy, and we're also looking at a pretty intense December. However, two big games are dropping this month, and we're expecting that they will both fare very well among the gaming audience. Are there titles out there that you think will be sleeper hits? Well, there are some ports coming out this month and of pretty good games as well. Here's a list of games releasing this month, and maybe there's a title out there that is something that you would like to check out. As for Kojima's big game, do you think Death Stranding is going to perform well? Or are you more of a lighthearted adventures of Pokemon kind of person? Why don't you share your thoughts below and let's talk more about games. If you like this video, show us some love, leave a like, maybe a subscribe, maybe show others what we do here and share the fun. We do appreciate it when people do. If you'd like to check out more of our stuff, you could see the YouTube channel right in front of you. There's also our site, reimarufiles.com. We are also on other social media, that would be Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I normally post my jokes on Facebook, not too often, but just enough to give you a little giggle every now and then. Anyway, I just want to hear from you guys what you like, what you don't like. You can go ahead and comment here or in any of our social media pages. I do like hearing from you guys. Anyway, thanks for your time. We will see you next time, and until then, stay classy.